Hello, I'm Lisa Harrison on the Opal Tour, currently in Florida. We are in, where are we? Panama City. And Michael Monk and his wife Francesca drove down yesterday to join up with us, and we've been hanging out ever since. Michael, welcome.
Thanks, I'm glad to be here. We're having a great time. A lovely crowd you've got here, and appreciate the invite.
No, I'm glad you could make it.
Me too.
I have had the chance to do a little bit of work with Michael, some energy work just recently, out in the backyard there, and experiencing it firsthand is quite intense actually. I'm not quite here still. There were things that I felt pressure, I felt compression, I felt expanded, I felt a whole bunch of things. So can you just try and talk through what it was you did, and I'll explain as you do that what I was experiencing.
Yeah. Well, as we used to talk about on the collective imagination and everything, what I teach, the process that I've undergone is expanding the mind. Like we have this concept since birth that our mind is in our skull, and that's the only place that it is. Well, the first thing you learn when you begin to develop an energy is, well, you have a nerve fiber connection, an electrical connection throughout your whole body. So therefore your mind is in your whole body. And when you begin to do a series of energy exercises and you work on it daily, your nerve fibers grow in size. They open up for the same reason as muscles build when you lift weights. And eventually you gain an electromagnetic presence, and your mind begins to expand past your body. So all of a sudden your mind becomes your head, it becomes your body, and it becomes the electromagnetic field that's all around. So what I did with you was I connected with you, charged energy through your nervous system, through my nervous system, expanded it out into a field, and the compression you felt was when I would do an inward magnetic, or like a pulling of energies in, and the expansion you would feel was when I would go out. And we have natural mechanisms that do this all the time, like the lungs and the heartbeat are always doing that. So with energy you learn to combine these forces within us to make it more than just air coming in your lungs, more than just blood circulating through your body. You can actually get your breath into the electromagnetic spectrum, and your breath can then compress energies inward or expand them out, and same thing with your body.
At one point I felt, you were standing behind me, I was sitting in a chair, and I literally felt myself in your body from your perspective, as if I was looking down over myself.
Yeah.
And yet I also could feel myself.
Yeah.
I was just more
in me than in yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, the development and the understanding of all of this is what makes it possible to experience unity consciousness. You know, all these theories, philosophies that we've been given that we're all one. You know, we're all connected, and that's great to hear it and believe it. It's quite another to experience it and have it be a daily thing. But what we are is consciousness. We're inhabiting a body, and consciousness exists in nothingness, in pure empty space. And as everybody understands through science, there's more empty space here than there is space. You know, science understands the whole universe would be the size of an acorn if all the space was taken out. So we're mental consciousness that manipulates electromagnetics through thought and feeling. And the body is just a very thick representation of an electromagnetic field. But our true self, our soul self, is our conscious presence that's within this electromagnetic spectrum that goes above and below the range of the physical senses. So the physical senses, eyes, ears, sense of touch, smell, taste, these have fixed vibrational ranges. And when you're born into a body, your consciousness is fused with your neuron structure, with your nervous system, and all it knows is vibration interpretation in those fixed ranges. But the true self, the soul, the mind soul, is omnipresent, and it has existence, and it knows all vibrations above and below the physical spectrum, and it also knows a place of no vibrations, which is pretty much source from where we come. All vibrations, all energy is sourced from thought in different levels. So even here in the human body, we're thinking thoughts, and these go out as conscious energies and have a life all their own, and there's bigger thoughts moving through us. The whole of the physical structure is a variety of beings that take thought together. And thought and the feeling is the vibration that makes the form.
You know, since we started this tour, which has been, I don't know, 8 weeks, 7 or 8 weeks now, we've had various people come and go. A lot of them, actually, that are still with us have been with us since the beginning. And the connections that have been made, and I've seen this happen in front of my eyes, complete strangers come together, but look at each other in the eye and burst into tears with a complete awakening and revelation of who they are in relationship to each other throughout lifetimes.
Yeah.
You know, and people's, I guess because we're in a bubble right now of being surrounded by really intentional people,
Yeah.
conscious people. So the work never stops, you know, and as a result, everybody's sensibilities, everybody's abilities, everybody's awareness is just exponentially kind of expanding. And speaking for myself, I've gotten to the point where there are some people, I know where they are in the campground without knowing where they are. You know what I mean? I can feel them. I know which RV they're in. I know whether they're down having something to eat. I've only got to tune in, and it's getting quicker and easier.
Yeah.
Can you explain it?
Well, the primary form of consciousness, like I said, is empty space. And when you begin to become multidimensional and you penetrate the different layers of realities, the first thing you'll experience is different worlds. You'll experience light realms, like worlds that are made of lighter energy than this. And when you expand even further, you're going to find yourself having recall of time spent in no vibration. So in this space, you don't have a body, you're not standing on a planet, you're not vibrating. You're just pure consciousness, and you're aware of other consciousness in the empty space. And if you think or feel a vibration happens and forms in front of you, and you can send it to any of the other consciousness that you want because it's all connected. So it almost works like Facebook does. We can send each other videos, we can send each other pictures, feelings, text messages, I mean, you name it. And it's from that platform that beings take massive thought together to create enough vibration to actually make a world, and then consciousness goes in, embodies the thought. So instead of just thinking the thought and then letting the energy drift away, consciousness will embody the thought and hold it together into form, which is how we find ourselves here. But we're really still, we come from that empty space, which is all permeating through everything. So we're all perfectly connected through the connective tissue of the universe, which is emptiness, which is the empty space. So when you become familiar with the feeling of other consciousness, you can begin to sense, where they're at or what they're doing. But it's actually the empty space that connects us.
You mentioned telepathy. That's the other thing that's coming online more and more.
Yeah, the vibrations are how we share feelings and how we communicate, but it's the actual emptiness, the empty space, that's the connective tissue.
Okay, there's another woman here that you did some work with earlier, Caroline. And I want to bring her in and ask her to share her experience as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So just talk through what you, whatever it was you went through together, little exercises and what your experience was.
Well, when we first started, Michael was going around and going behind everybody and working with them energetically. And I was waiting for my turn. And I actually was amazed at that I knew where he was, okay, and I felt the energy from his hands, and it was the vibration. It just really caught my attention because you just don't get that all the time. So you don't. So that was great. And then as he moved his hands around, I started to get this tingling sensation in my spine, and it worked its way up. And it actually almost felt like it got clustered in my throat area. And not to get emotional about it, but see, I'm clearing my throat. I've had trouble, blockages, and I've known about them, I just didn't know how to clear them. So when I felt that, it's like I knew. It's just some type of knowing. And then it just continued to go up. Plus my body temperature, I could feel the heat from the energy, temperature difference. And that's amazing too. To feel someone else's energy with your energy. And once it kind of, that's like even now, even right now, talking about that experience, I'm getting warm all over again.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, do you mind me asking how that is or why?
Everything that we do in the physical reality echoes forwards and backwards in time. Everything we do is a wave, like ripples in a pond, and time is a spherical energy. So every single action we do goes echo forwards and backwards of the time stream. Mm-hmm. So when an event is more intense, it's going to have strong echoes going forwards. So you're catching echoes of that experience, and because you were talking about it, it enabled you to tune into it, and you were catching like time pulse echoes of that experience.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did an exercise with connecting with the tree, and that was awesome. And as I was breathing in, and Michael was behind me, and then he put his hand, first he put his hand over here next to mine, and I again felt the vibrational energy and the heat differential. Mm-hmm. And when I had my hand on the tree and he was talking to me as to what to do and how to do it, and I did, and as I closed my eyes and I breathed in, I really felt, just as what you just said, it's like a pressure. It was hard for me to explain what I was feeling, but I felt so connected and one with the tree. And after the experience, I told him I'm going to have to keep doing that and work with that. It was amazing.
Yeah, well, yes. Everything has an electromagnetic signature, and like I said, we're all connected through the empty space. Mm-hmm. So what you experienced was that there's no barrier between you and the outside world at all. That the skin is an artificial barrier that we've set up as consciousness, and it's a beautiful thing. I mean, to be able to tell the difference between yourself and the rest of creation is great, which is why we went down that road. But now that we are very comfortable and sure of ourselves, we can begin to expand past the barrier of the skin and know ourselves as being all things, know ourselves as being the wind, being the earth beneath us, being the sunshine, and being each other. And it's very real, as you and Lisa saw, that when you connect electromagnetically, there's no difference between your body and my body. You gained a presence inside me, mm-hmm. I had a presence inside you. Same thing with you in that tree. I mean, your mind went into that tree and grew up the branches, down the roots, and there's no separation whatsoever. And once humanity can get to a state where this is not just common knowledge, but the common experience of everybody, then the nature of mankind will drastically change, which is what really needs to happen. Like most of the spiritual development has been on the mental level. Like we have philosophies and better ideas of better ways to live. And this does help us to a great degree, but our nature is still separated consciousness. Mm-hmm. Even if you believe in your head that we're all connected and we're all one, if it's not your experience, then you're still in separated consciousness. And your nature as a separated consciousness is survival of self. Mm-hmm. And you have to look, feel after self-interest. It makes sense because that's your nature. Well, when you expand through energy practices and get your mind into the electromagnetic spectrum and out into unity of all things, then you know, I mean, not just believe it, you know that the world is an extension of your own self, that we are extensions of each other. Then our nature has changed from separated consciousness to unity consciousness of true oneness, and we know that we are extensions of each other, that the world is as much a part of our body as what we used to think that our body was. Well, at that point, with the change in nature, we have no choice but to take care of ourselves and nurture ourselves, and we would be building everything in harmony with the world, and knowing that we feel all things as a part of the self, we would no longer tolerate these ugly buildings that we build. We're a utilitarian society, whatever works, but that can't work anymore. As the consciousness is expanding and connecting, and you feel it as a part of yourself, you want things to be beautiful and in alignment. Knowing that the city is an extension of yourself means that we would start building cities and dwelling spaces in a complete different way. We would be in harmony with the natural patterns. All of science would change. The way science is dangerous right now. The things that they experiment with, their idea of power involves friction. So, science is well aware that we have an electromagnetic field that goes many feet past our body through the heart. They discount it. Why? Well, there's not much force. They've made nuclear bombs. What's a tiny little heart field going to do? Well, tons, because there's communication. If you can merge your mind with that field, then through that very subtle electrical charge, you gain a mental communication with everything, and it responds to you, which is how we do telepathy, healings, telekinesis, all the stuff that we do.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add or ask Michael?
Oh, not right now. It was just a great experience.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you.
Tree experience too, because we did the same.
Yeah.
And I felt my arm up to my elbow was inside the tree. And
I just got goosebumps.
And my feet were connected to the roots, and there was this spherical flow of energy between myself and the tree.
Yeah.
And then when we did the push up, I literally went up, and I had the perspective of this whole place, and I saw who was sitting over at the, that's what made me laugh, because I was watching them over at the RV just for a split second around the fire, from that perspective at the top of the tree.
I felt you make a disconnection, and you were connected, but you can feel it when a person actually gains a full-on presence past their body. It's one thing to be expanded, but you still view your body as the center source of the expansion. What you actually did was you changed your center point of focus to the top of the tree, which enabled you to see and hear from that perspective.
It was really wild.
Yeah. What you did was a pretty advanced feat that takes most students about a year on their own to learn. But obviously, when somebody's in the presence of a well-developed energy master with really strong magnetics, we can pop people out. Like I got behind you and I did a repelling magnetism, and it just gave you that extra push to just make that connection. But isn't that? You saw from the top of the tree.
Completely.
That's amazing. How would science explain that?
I don't know, but it was cool.
They just don't understand that we don't see with our eyes, we don't hear with our ears. These are like perceptive mechanisms that we've developed. We see with our mind, we hear with our mind. You don't need eyes to see. You don't need ears to hear. We interpret vibrations through our fixed physical senses, but when you evolve your mind past the vibrational fixed ranges of these things, you can see in other vibration ranges. And once that happens, you don't need the eyes to see anymore, because they can only see in the rainbow spectrum. You are seeing in the electromagnetic spectrum through the pineal gland in the center of the mind, which is the interpreter, of these lighter frequencies. But it does. Science could never understand it, because they'd be like trying to relate it to the eyeballs. It has nothing to do with the eyeballs. It has to do with consciousness interpreting vibrations. That's it.
So, are you finding that more and more people are just naturally sort of switching onto this?
Yeah, people are getting it spontaneously in different degrees. What's important, though, is that, one, for their experiences to be legitimized, because most of society would illegitimize the experience, call them cuckoo, or put them on drugs, or put them in a mental hospital. I believe science even has a illness classification for this. They call synesthesia, you know, because you're not supposed to be able to see sound. You know, you're not supposed to be able to hear the wall.
And there's a drug for that, I imagine?
Yeah, there's something that can take away that advancement in consciousness and make the person feel belittled, like there's just something wrong with them, when really they're just opening up. So it's really important for people like us to be out there with a grounded platform of a logical understanding of how and why all of this takes place. And not only that, but proof, you know, that it's a real connection, that it's not just a hallucination, which is why I have those videos where I make the wind change directions, make the clouds disappear, move the straw inside the sealed container. I mean, sure, these abilities aren't like jaw-dropping, not like levitating a boulder or something, but what does it do? It proves that I have a connection past my body. And that's the miracle, that's the fruit in all of this. It's not the abilities. The abilities are a side effect. The fruit is the connection. It's an intimate connection to all life. Your breath and your heartbeat become one with every single thing. You gain a mental presence. You can feel all the atoms and molecules in the air. I mean, sunshine takes on a whole new meaning. You feel that sun just shining right through you. You can feel your mind inside of the sun. And when it makes changes, you make changes internally and externally. It's like the greatest drug there is, and it's free, and it's healthy, and it develops your consciousness.
So when you're working with someone the way you did with me, do you see, or is it all feeling? Can you see the energy?
Too. Yeah.
What does it look like to you?
I see waves emanating out from center, from us, and I can see the vibrational differences. Like if there's a tree, I can see how it reacts different to the energy. It has its own signature. And like when I knew that you had separated from your body, I saw a quantum version of yourself. Mm-hmm. Like the quantum theory is that an object only exists in space and time because it's being observed. So otherwise, this chair is really everywhere. Here, there. But we're observing it to be here. Well, the same thing is true with our bodies. We are only in one singular space and time because we're observing ourselves to be. We observe ourselves through the nerve fiber system. So when you begin to expand past, you start to get quantum versions of yourself that are everywhere. And they have eyes, ears, you know, they're just like this body. So I can actually see your quantum bodies when you expand. And when you actually embody one in its full essence, it begins to look like the real Lisa, and the real Lisa here fades. And that one becomes the real one in my vision.
Whoa. Okay, I'm just imagining lots of little memes. Oh, wow. So, I know that you feel it's really, really important for as many people as possible to start to practice and really embody this.
Yeah.
But this goes back to some of our other discussions that we used to have on Skype about, you know, an event, something that just switches it all on for everybody. Do you think that's possible?
I mean, it happens to some people spontaneously from time to time, so I know that it's possible, but is it probable? No, I don't think so, because it's not healthy for the consciousness to have all its switches turned on at once. Like, it's the consciousness needs to take steps because it doesn't know what to do with all of that data. So if we had a spontaneous world turn on like that and everybody was connected like this, we'd have mass insanity because people's belief systems are so out of skew. I mean, the Muslims would be going to town. I mean, they'd be pitting Allah against Jesus and Jehovah.
Wouldn't some knowing come with that?
No. The brain consciousness is where we're focused right now. We're focused in our ego personality. And so it's the ego personality that has to expand and understand. I mean, a small level of innate knowing can come through, but it's never like a complete wipe, like you know, like a full-on, like even people that believe they're walk-ins or that maybe actually are walk-ins, they're still pretty much the same person, but they just feel odd, that something feels off. So even when a soul completely swaps out they're in the pattern that's going on here, and they have to adjust to it.
If you can communicate and merge with the sun, have you done it with Ison?
I haven't gotten a chance to see Ison with the naked eye, so.
Do you need to do that? Do you need to connect with the naked eye so you can make it?
It's a lot more potent that way, yeah.
So that'd be interesting to get your take on that. Or what is your take on that so far?
Well, everything in reality happens internally first. So the primary reality is within us, or sources within. When your clairvoyance develops really highly, you'll see that before anything happens in the external world, it happens in a primal sense in the internal world. So you'll see a wave of vibration come out of you, and then a bird will chirp, and you'll see the vibration of the bird chirping coming back. Or even as we're communicating right now, structural waves are coming out of us. Like from the soul level, we've already communicated before we even open our mouth, from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
So the manifestation of Comet Ison means that a change has already occurred within us. Now, people aren't always internal polarized. Most people are, external, looking outward for everything. So they might miss what happened inside of them. So these symbols that appear in the external reality can be very important, because the appearance of that can help people take note of an event that happened, a change that happened inside of them. But
well, for something as big as Ison, in terms of it's a global thing that everybody on the planet knows about it, wouldn't that suggest that a significant number of people on the planet have had some sort of internal shift?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's kind of exciting.
I mean, everybody on the planet has had the shifting, but are they aware of it or not? I mean, something can happen, but if consciousness isn't aware of it, it might as well not even have happened. Because perception is everything. If you don't perceive something, it does not exist. So it has to come into the conscious scope of awareness. But water holds an intelligence. Like it's actually like a data bank. It actually stores intelligence. So a big chunk of frozen liquid, coming our way represents either an addition or a restoration of knowledge.
So it is a comet?
Pretty much positive it is. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's a spaceship or anything like that.
Yeah. So I had someone last week telling me that it is a spaceship and it will land. So it's the commentary on what it is. I mean, it's like Ellen, like anything else. It's many and varied.
Yeah. I mean, with a lot of these astronomical things, I mean, people are always saying, "Oh, it's a spaceship, it's a spaceship." I mean, it always, ends up not being that. Like I do believe in extraterrestrial consciousness because I've met them in different frequencies. When you're out of your body, and sometimes when you're in your body, you can shift to these other frequencies, parallel realities, where they can seem to manifest physically. But from all of my experience and understanding, clairvoyance, connection, everything, is that we are in our own pocket of density of space and time. Like we are the physical universe as expressed outward. Like we are everything that we see. Now each one of those stars is a world too. But you can only really experience it when you're out of your body. And when you're out of your body, what was once in the physical body seeming to be a part of your mind, because when you expand outward into unity with everything, you feel the stars inside of you and outside of you, and you realize what they are. They're an extension of our neural network inside of our head. And even science understands this. They've got pictures of the universe and then picture of the human brain, and they're like, what in the hell? It looks like the same thing. Well, it is, it's echoes, but the primary reality is within. So we're not an echo of the universe is an echo of us. And the stars are like our higher mind, or our divine mind out there in the lighter frequencies, all connected. Now each one does have, like any mind, it's in portions, Each one of us has different personalities going on within our own self. Well, it's the same thing with the extension. And so when you project out of your body, you can experience the Pleiadians, you can experience the Draconians, the Arcturians, whatever. They all have their own little pockets of space and time that's all theirs too. Now, I do believe that it's possible for us to begin to interact interdimensionally, but I know that our race has some development and growing to do first. Because for one, this is our collective, this is our mind. So if an extraterrestrial consciousness came in here, they would be completely at our mercy, because they're inside of our primary domain at that point. You know, and the way we behave now, you know, not too surprising that, you know, that consciousness like that wouldn't want to come in. You know, likewise, when we go to their worlds, we're guests. You know. It's like we are a sovereign collective consciousness race that's yet to realize who and what we really are, but we are everything that we see.
So what's going on with the school? You're still doing the Avatar Energy school?
Yeah, we've grown quite a bit since our first interview. We've got hundreds of students from all around the world now. Yeah, it's going really good. We got some really talented people. I've initiated a 7-day free trial. You know, since when I did the interview with you, we didn't have that, so it's like we don't even expect people to risk any money, and they can just check it out, do a few of the exercises, get blown away, and decide to stay, which is what usually happens.
And people doing the work and progressing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everybody that does the work actually applies themselves to the exercises, gets the results. I mean, we have about 35 to 40% retention rate. So if 100 people join, like 35 to 40 end up staying with it for the long haul, because they actually put in, the time and the effort. For a lot of people, it ends up becoming like a gym membership, like it's something they know that they should be doing and that they want to do, but they keep, putting it off until next month, or, life has a way of dragging people back down. But, as you've seen, once you know that you can connect in this way and experience the world in this way, it's like, what else is there that's more important than that? It enhances every single aspect of your life.
I'm still fluffy and floaty. That tree experience was really, really beautiful. Really beautiful. So when you do retreats, you've been doing some retreats as well.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you do? You get groups of people together and just do like one-on-one exercises with them?
Yeah, we do a lot of one-on-one, a lot of group stuff. We'll do like, I'll take people out of their body with energy, expand them out in the world like I did with you guys, show them how to connect to everything. And they learn this all through the course, but for the people that want to do some hands-on stuff, we offer retreats 4 times a year.
I saw a clip from one of the retreats. There was a young guy who was a chronic stutterer.
Mm-hmm.
Talk me through what happened, because it looked like you were going to do something else altogether with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up coming out of that exercise without stuttering anymore.
Yeah.
It was profound change.
Yeah, it was.
So what happened there?
Well, with people that stutter, they actually have a lot of force that wants to come out of their throat chakra. Their magnetism is super strong in here. So when they go to talk, it magnetizes and it literally grips their voice box to where they can't get it out, like even if they want to. So my intention with him was to raise him up out of the top of his head to give him an out-of-body experience. But I connected so strong, like pushing with so much force to get him out, and I was grounded so deep that my column was overlapped with his. And so I was shooting energy up his spine, out his neck, and I was just blasting it out the top of his head. And so when he gets up from that and he goes to sit down, he starts talking to somebody about the experience. He's like, what the hell? I mean, all the words are coming out perfect, because that area of his didn't have that restriction anymore, that condensation. I just blasted it all out.
And still?
He has a great improvement to how good that he can speak, but some of the ego memory of the stutter, the fear, and all that did come back. And it did, a little bit during the retreat, but at any time I could just say, here it is. And then he'd be, okay, I'm fine. So, it's just something that he has to learn to get a grip on his own electromagnetic energy. Like you know the difference from what I showed you. Most people only feel their their skin. And when you're in the electromagnetics, it's like you have a nerve fiber connection to an electromagnetic flux that's inside and outside of your body. So when I go like that, I'm feeling a cylindrical, spherical compression and release. You know, the whole thing's moving. So all he has to do in his situation is develop his energy a bit more to where he can feel that electromagnetic flux in his throat area, and where it wants to polarize inward, he can just magnetize it outward to alleviate the pressure, and the problem would be solved.
But you don't normally do healing work per se, do you?
I do quite a bit of it. I mean, I'm more involved in teaching it and empowering people, but I do offer healings and get some pretty amazing results from it. Yeah.
My skin is all.
Right.
And that lasted for, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds before an ant bit me on the foot. Made me very aware of my skin. But yeah, I ceased to feel where I finished.
Yeah. Yeah, the skin is an artificial barrier that we set up as consciousness, and the structure of the nerve fibers, that it has a pattern and a pulse, which keeps our consciousness fused and anchored there because of a physical level vibration that we call the sense of touch, you know, which takes place in a range. When you connect to your sense of touch and you expand it out past the range of the physical sense, well, then that perceived barrier of the skin just disappears. And then you become the air, right? And you felt the air inside of you as like a magnetic presence, and outside of you, which is...
It was all one. There was no distinction between the air within and
right. Yeah.
without.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Oh, it's amazing. Like I said, that's the true fruit. Now, something you can do with that, you can set up a little flag, like in my aerokinesis video, and you can make the wind blow and stop and go different directions, and that's neat, but it's not nearly as cool as feeling every atom and molecule in the air as being a part of your very being, you know?
Yeah, it does take We Are One to a whole new level. I mean, it's been part of the message on this tour. And we've all experienced it, like I said, in varying ways, often just momentary. But to really get intentional and conscious about that and be able to practice it. I mean, for a group of people like us to be able to do that, that would be amazing. And to live like that day in, day out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming and joining us. It's been fun playing.
It's been my pleasure. It was great to meet you in person. We've been talking for about 2 years.
Yeah.
Nice to associate a face.
And we're both real. What? We're not computer programs or anything. So we head off now to North Carolina. And that'll mark the end of this leg of the tour. But there's been quite a few people over. I mean, Chris Hales, you didn't get to meet up with him?
Didn't get a chance to meet him, no.
Okay. There's been quite a few events on lately.
Yeah.
People coming over. And I'll be back.
Yeah, it's ramping up quick.
And I nearly got to meet Peter up in Norway. But didn't quite pull that off. So thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. And if anybody watching this is interested in checking out my work, you can go to avatarenergymaster.com or avatarenergymastery.com. Both lead to the same place, and you know, we have a full-on website there. You can view our demonstrations where we demonstrate the connectivity of this through various different telekinetic type of demonstrations, and you can read our student testimonial, and you can give our course a try. We have a 7-day free trial, like I said, so you've got nothing to risk. So
I do want to recommend Michael and his work because every conversation blows me away with Michael. So it's been a couple of years now. It's always been fun. Yeah,
it's been my, sort of my own blessing to be able to assemble a logical and grounded way of really understanding this stuff. And I say that because I'm one of the ones where it all just happened to, and then I had two choices: go insane or make logical sense of it. And luckily I made logical sense of it and found the gateway for people to achieve it, on a regular basis. Because it's one thing if spirit comes into you and gives you an experience, that doesn't mean that it stays unless you found the gateway yourself. So over the course of like 3 years, I developed into learning how to get into this state of consciousness, which is what my whole course is it's a breakdown of the way that I ended up logically understanding it, relating it to the body mechanics, relating it to science,
Yeah.
and providing the pathway to so that anybody can do this. And
I think you've
anybody
done a
can.
really good job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Good to meet you.
You too.